What's up guys, Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Monday, December 14th. Had a trip this afternoon, don't have a trip tomorrow, so gonna go ahead and knock this out. It probably will not get posted until tomorrow. To be honest with you, because it's, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock right now. Not going to have time to get this edited and posted tonight, so we'll get posted tomorrow. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 914.57, which puts us about a half foot below normal winter pool. Court is still running quite a bit of water. I don't know if they're anticipating more rain, more snow, who knows, or they may actually be doing a winter drawdown, which would be interesting because we haven't had one of those in a long time. Water temp, we're still right around 54, 55. It's colder water when you get up into the river arms. You'll see 50 to 52, but for the most part, Main Lake, Kimberling City, where I am today, you're in that mid 50s. So we are slowly cooling off. Bite is changing. It was kind of tough today. Had some really good days last week when we had that warm up, but the bite was a little bit tougher today. Seemed as the day went on, they bit a little bit better. So definitely want to stay, if you want to stay in touch with these fish, want to know what these fish are doing, where they're going, what they're doing, how we're catching them, your best bet is to join Table Rock Fishing Intel, become a pro member, get those daily reports, get those weekly reports, and get all the feature videos that we've been doing. We've got quite a few feature videos going on right now. I'm going to release some this week, some next week. Some really cool stuff that'll help you stay with the fish this time of year. I know we don't have a lot of derbies this time of year, but it's a great time to fish because there's really, I think we saw one other boat all day long out here. So pretty much have the lake to yourself, and the fishing's actually pretty good. Today was a little tough. I think we wound up with a dozen or 15 in 4 hours with like 8 or 9 keepers. But as far as normal this time of year, we've been catching, oh, I don't know, in 4 hours, 20, 25 fish with about 15 or 20 keepers. So the bite has been pretty strong. But if you're coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, basically the deep bite is definitely the most consistent bite. Either fishing a jewel scuba spoon, fishing a rapala jigging wrap, or a swim bait down in the tops of trees and the guts of the creeks. I will tell you the fish are starting to move a little bit, and we noticed that today, but we're still catching most of the fish in the guts of the creeks, in the tops of the trees. Overall depth really doesn't matter. Most of the fish are 35 to 55. That's how we've been catching them down by the dam, and looking for those fish, you know, on your electronics. If you don't have the electronics, you're going to struggle catching them. Another bite that's working down there is a stick bait. If you get a windy, cloudy day, I mean, a couple guys went out and fished in the snow yesterday, and they said they had a really good stick bait bite. So keep that in mind. Spromix stick, Megabass Vision 110 on those channel swing type banks, both on the main lake and back in the creek arms. When you get a cloudy, windy day, you can catch them on a stick bait. You can catch them on a wiggle wart too. It's still warm enough we're catching them on a wiggle wart and a rock crawler and that sort of thing. But you've got to have the stars in line. A day like today where it's sunny, bluebird sky, and no wind, you're going to struggle throwing that, and that's when that deep bite really shines. Come to the mid-lake area where I am today. Everything we caught today was on a Kitech 2.8 on either a jewel gem shad in a 1/4 ounce or a little bit heavier ball head that I like to throw in a 1/2 ounce. Basically fishing these deeper trees, making long casts to them, you know, seeing them on the live scope, throwing to them and bringing it over top of the trees. How we caught a few of them. The majority of them we dropped on them. We dropped it straight down to them. Most of them, again, 35 to 55 foot deep. Overall depth, didn't really pay much attention to it, but most of these fish were coming out of these deep trees around the shad. Didn't really see the shad so much back in the creeks, and that's what I was alluding to a little bit on the other portion, is that we're starting to see the shad move out in the main lake with this change in the weather. Don't know if they're going to stay out there, if they're going to back in. I know idling back here in Fisher Creek, I did start to see a few more shad back in the creeks than we saw earlier. But that's the key. Finding the shad, you'll find the fish, and that's how you're going to get bit. You can catch a few on a scuba spoon as well, a few on the jigging wrap, and a few on a drop shot rig too. Fishing around these deep trees, I've just been doing really well with the Kitech on either a gem shad or a little bit heavier head, whatever that may be. And then again, the stick bait bite, stars align, everything's great, cloudy, windy day, you can catch them on a jerkbait, spromic stick, Vision 110, or on a crankbait, wiggle wart, rock crawler, curve 55, that sort of thing. Those fish are going to be on those channel swing banks fairly close to the bank as well. Go up into the James River, and there's actually a decent deep bite in the James River, especially the lower James from about 0.12 down. Most of those fish, though, have been on the main lake, and they've been out on those gravel runouts. That seems to be where the shad are. You can catch them in some of the bigger creek arms. I know caught a few in Cedar last week, caught a few in Ants Creek, and a few in Piney. But really, your best bite is going to be out on the main lake on those gravel runouts where they drop off into the main channel. Catching them on a scuba spoon, catching them on the jig and wrap, catching them on a drop shot, and catching them on a swim bait on either the gem shad or a heavier head. Most of the fish were lading pretty close to the bottom, anywhere from about 40 to about 60 feet deep. If you've got some trees on a main lake point, oh, I know, like the mouth of Jackson's got some trees that are out there on that main lake point. You can catch them in those trees, but for the most part, most of the fish I'm catching are on gravel out there, and that's kind of a bite that should be coming up. I know it's working in the James and it's working up in the White, so start to look for that as well. Jig bite has still been strong up there as well around the boat docks. Most of the fish are 10 to about 15 foot deep, relating to either the shade of the docks or brush piles, but most of them have been fairly shallow around the docks on either a Jewel Pro Spider jig or a Jewel Finesse jig, either one of those, typical colors, Okeechobee blue, green pumpkin candy, matched up with a speed crawl or a beeve. Those have really been my two bites up there. I haven't thrown a stick bait up there. I know guys are catching them on a stick bait though. Spromic stick has been the better of the two versus the Vision 110, but as this water cools off, you'll probably want to switch up to that Vision 110. Again, those fish have been on those transition areas where it goes from big rock to small rock on those channel swing banks, both back in the creeks and on the main lake. White River, deep bite in the White River has been really strong, and they're starting to move more towards gravel than they are in the trees. Have been catching the bulk of the fish in the creek arms in the trees, either on a swim bait, either the Kitech or the Jack and Jaws 2.8 and 3.3 on either a gem shad or maybe a little bit heavier head around treetops, catching them on a scuba spoon, catching them on a jigging wrap, and catching them on a drop shot rig. Again, the overall depth doesn't matter, but the fish are 35 to 55 foot deep. Really seems to be where these fish are holding at, so keep that in mind. You can catch them on a stick bait and a crankbait up there, again, if you get the right day, get a little bit of wind, a little bit of cloud cover, and these fish will move to those channel swing banks, and you can definitely catch them doing that. And then a jig bite, especially up the Kings. Talked to a buddy of mine who fished up the Kings the other day, and he had a great day on a jig around laydowns, around wood cover in the Kings River. Most of them on channel swing type banks, or at least steeper 45 chunk rock type banks. Around laydowns. He did catch a few off of some boat docks, but really he said the laydowns or some sort of wood was really key to get bit on a spider jig, or the finesse jig is the one he likes to throw around the wood cover up there up the Kings. Guys, it is over halfway through, or actually halfway through December. Beautiful day today, a little chilly, but sunny and beautiful. And like I said, we struggled a little bit early, but we finally figured some out and caught some out deep. Bite is good. We've been catching quite a few fish the last week. I mean, we had some stellar days last week when you get that little bit of a warming trend and these fish really get turned on. The best way to stay on top of this bite and on this change in bite, though, again, is to join Table Rock Fishing Intel, become a pro member. We're going to give you daily reports. We're going to give you weekly reports. We've got 10 different guides out here fishing, and so we're getting reports from all over the lake and all kinds of different information for you. So join that, watch those feature videos, watch those reports, and again, check out the maps. I mean, heck, if you don't have a clue what I'm talking about when I'm talking about deep creeks or deep trees and creeks, a lot of that stuff is on those maps that are available to pro members on Table Rock Fishing Intel. But if you're coming down, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either book online or shoot me an email. Either way, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the videos. Check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you haven't done so, but thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.